Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Rama Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalashanji, Radha Kalashanji, Shri Radhe. Kalashanji, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. If we can do the invocation verses together, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim vyasyam tato jaya mudirayat nashta preya shavabreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamha shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Om Gyantimarandasya Gananchana Shalakaya Chakshuranliptam Nina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 15 today. Very, very nice verse and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Let's start by reciting the Sanskrit. Yadanudasanya yukta. Yadanudasina yukta. Karma grati nibandhananam. Karma granti nibandhananam. Chindanti kovidastasya. Chindanti kovidastasya. Kona kriyat kataratim. Yadanudasina yuktaha karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidhastasya kona kruyat kataratim. Please, Bolo. Yadudasina yukteha karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kruyat kataritim. Yadudasina yuktaha karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kriyat kataratim. Yadudasina yuktaha karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kruyat kataratim. Good job. Yadudasina yuktaha karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kriyat kataratim. We'll go right into translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. With the sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to His message? Please repeat. With a sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to His message? Purport. The contact of the spiritual spark with material elements creates a knot which must be cut if one wants to be liberated from the actions and reactions of fruit of work. Liberation means freedom from the cycle of reactionary work. This liberation automatically follows for one who constantly remembers the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead. This is because all the activities of the Supreme Lord, His Leela, are transcendental to the modes of material nature, material energy. They are all attractive spiritual activities. And therefore constant association with the spiritual activities of the Supreme Lord gradually spiritualizes the conditioned soul and ultimately severs the knot of material bondage. Liberation from material bondage is therefore a byproduct of devotional service. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with devotional service so that ultimately the devotional service alone predominates. Then liberation is made possible. Even the reactionary work of the fruit of workers can lead one to liberation when it is overcoated with devotional service. Karma overcoated with devotional service is called karma yoga. Similarly, empirical knowledge overcoated with devotional service is called jnana yoga. But pure bhakti yoga is independent of such karma and jnana because it alone can not only endow one with liberation from conditional life, but also award one the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, any sensible man who is above the average man with a poor fund of knowledge must constantly remember the personality of Godhead by hearing about him, by glorifying him, by remembering him, and by worshiping him always without cessation. That is the perfect way of devotional service. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the Bhakti cult, rigidly followed this rule and made immense literatures of transcendental science for our benefit. They've chalked out the ways for all classes of men in terms of different castes and orders in life of pursuance of teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and similarly other authoritative scriptures. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we have what we're hearing about is a knot. A knot of what? Of karma, right? Of reactionary work. Often, when you are talking to people, one might call this a heavy burden on the shoulders, right? Have you ever heard that? There's a heavy burden on my shoulders. And the world is in such a state that it's easy to have a very heavy burden on our shoulders. People are in such a bewildered state of, or as Srila Prabhupada, I love when he says, a poor fund of knowledge, right? What a way to speak of the unfortunate circumstance, right? We don't call people lower or put them down or nothing. We say, oh, you have a poor fund of knowledge. You haven't been taught this yet. And so therefore, you have a poor fund of knowledge. And so, in this material world, people are putting weights on their shoulder. They're adding weight with each activity they do, not knowing how to perform activities. So, people often put very heavy weights on their shoulders because they're participating in sinful activities, right? You're doing some kind of sinful activity, the weight on your shoulder becomes heavy, life becomes heavy, and therefore you need something to forget about that heavy weight on your shoulders. And so what do you do when you're in this condition? Well, unfortunately, you do something to forget about the weight on the shoulder that actually adds more weight to your shoulders. You take intoxications because for that moment in time, that intoxication makes you forget about the heavy shoulder weight on your shoulders. But it just adds more weight because you're not really taking care of the issue. You're forgetting about it. You're voluntarily becoming blind to the situation. The world is in such a state right now that people just don't know what to do, so they continually are in this state of feeling the burden of life, the heavy weight on their shoulders, and then doing sinful activities to try to forget it from them, and adding more boulders, more rocks on their shoulders. But some people get some intelligence. They get some knowledge. And they start to perform pious activities. They start to raise their consciousness to some degree where they start to do activities in the way of benefits for others. And so this is a real interesting part about the heavy weight on our shoulders, because these people are also putting the weight on their shoulders, but often it's for other people's cause. So often you'll see this through philanthropy work or people that are, as Srila Prabhupada would say, overly attached to family life, because our focus becomes more of religious life, in the sense of, I take care of my duties nicely, I am reliable, I am serving others in a way that is, they can trust me. So these are pious activities, religious activities, through like philanthropy work or with some kind of cause in this way. For instance, Vyasadeva is told by Narada Muni, you've simply encouraged people to gratify their senses in the name of religion, right? So this is the problem, is that you're gratifying your senses, you're actually still putting on rocks on your shoulders. They just look not as heavy because they're other people's problems, right? They're other situations. Other people's situations. Then one comes to even a further fund of knowledge, and they hear about that this world is temporary, right? You get to you hear about it and you start to understand. These boulders, these problems of mine and others aren't even my problems. They're only temporary. This material world is temporary, and therefore, man, do I really need to be overly or even at all putting on these problems in life? And so quite often we come to the conclusion, no, right? These aren't my problems. They're simply my material body, and material nature is acting, and therefore I can just observe and be free of that weight, right? That sounds pretty nice, right? To just be lifted of the weight of problems. When you hear that, go, no problems. I'm a spirit soul. This world is temporary. I don't need to be attached. I can renounce, right? That can be very encouraging into a certain degree, right? But devotees are crazy. Devotees are crazy because, like the materialist who's crazy, putting on weights on their shoulders, trying to gratify their senses, the devotee also starts to put boulders and weight on their shoulders. But the weight that the devotee puts on his shoulders, and the boulders or rocks that the devotee puts on his shoulders, is Krishna's problems. The devotee starts to say, Krishna has problems and I want to help. For instance, Krishna, Kalashanji, needs to be dressed, and therefore I'm going to make it my problem to make sure that he gets dressed. I'm going to put weights on my shoulders to make sure that Krishna is dressed nicely. I'm going to put weights on my shoulders to make sure that his sweets are made nicely. I'm going to put the weight on my shoulders to make sure that his children are taken care of. My children, who are his devotees, are going to. So devotees start to voluntarily take on Krishna's problems. Pretty crazy, right? Wait a minute. We could have been in a liberated state where we had no problems. We're completely free, weightless, but instead we decide to start putting on boulders again, have weight on our shoulders. Why? Why would a devotee want to start to put problems back on their shoulders? Well, it's very interesting, right? The rocks that the devotee is putting on his shoulders are of a different nature. these rocks are not weights that push us down. They're weights that lift us up. For instance, in the Ramayana, there was a building of a bridge, right? And they took these rocks and they wrote Lord Ram's name on them, and they put these rocks in the ocean, and what did they do? What did the rocks do? They floated, right? These are no ordinary rocks, right? So the rocks that the devotee is putting on his shoulders, the problems they're putting in their life, are very transcendental rocks. They float. They pull somebody up. And so a devotee is very eager to take the rocks or the weights of Krishna's problems because they are lifted up. Their enthusiasm grows. Mother Yashoda shows this, right? She's so concerned about Krishna's welfare that she's thinking about, all she can think about is the Krishna's state and how to find a solution to take care of Krishna, right? So I hope that you guys can hear in this that I'm calling them problems. But when we become Krishna consciousness, our problems we can still call them problems, but they're of a different nature. They're of a different consciousness. The fact is that there never isn't problems. Read Krishna book. Read Srimad Bhagavatam, right? The Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but problems and wonderful stories about how the devotee overcomes those problems. Krishna book is nothing but problems to a certain degree. Nothing but problems that are the problems of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda when Krishna comes and they want to throw the problem is we have to throw a party. We have to throw this big party for Krishna, right? It's his birthday, right? His name-giving ceremony. So they lovingly take on the problems for Krishna. But there's one more step of the craziness of the Gaudiya, Vaishnav, ISKCON devotee. They even go another step of insanity. Because they're not just interested in Krishna's problems. We start taking on the problems of other people. We're Sankirtan devotees. So therefore, in our preaching, we want to reach out to other people and help. And so therefore, we start taking on their problems. Oh, what's wrong? What's going on in your life? How can I help? And so this weight is actually not just rocks. It's like big floating boulders. When we put the weight of other people's issues in the forefront of our desire to help a person with the intention or with the outcome being that they will meet, embrace, and love Krishna, that they will know Krishna, then that's the ultimate problem that we want. Nanda Braja, why do you say this? Well, we can read it in Bhagavad Gita. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Anybody who shares this science that I am speaking to you today is very, very dear to me. There's nothing more pleasing to Krishna when we take on the problems of others with the desire to please Krishna, to help that person to step towards Krishna. And so, we should be very eager for the Sankirtan movement to find our place, to find out how we can help others, and develop systems or help for others. See, It is a big important task to take on the problems of others, because you have to really desire to take the person's hand and help them cross the finish line, right? And that's a big task. There's a lot of problems with that. Not only will you continue to have the problems in your life, but you'll get more problems in the sense of these persons bringing their problems to you. But it's the ultimate situation that pleases Krishna the most, is when we bring people to him. And so, I'd like to encourage us all as a community, as a temple, to think about how we can take the hand of others and say, I've got you. I will help you. I will help you in every way possible to cross this line of material miseries and go back home, back to Godhead. We can do that through like mentorship programs, right? See, in the Nectar of Instruction, it says that not only do we live in the Holy Dham, but we should take shelter of somebody who knows the Holy Dham. They know that. See, this is very interesting, see, because we really need somebody who knows the local situation. Thank you. That can direct us. There's gurus in our movement that are giving us the direction, right? For instance, I just heard recently one of the appreciations of my Guru Maharaj, Hanumat Prashak Swami, he's told, one person told him, he says, I really like you, Maharaj, because you make your disciples think. You don't think for them, you make them think. And I found this often with the instructions that my guru gives me, is that like, he'll go, okay, that's Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, read it. Okay. Read it, and okay, wait, and I have to really like take that instruction and work with it, meld it. And then there's situations in my life that are my local situation. Hey, this happened, very intricate situations. And he'll go, okay, well, who's your local authority? Who's your local Shiksha Guru? Who's helping you to traverse the spiritual world, or spiritual dham? And so this is very important, that we create a place where we can help people with all of their problems. Financially, emotionally, social, anything that somebody comes up, we need to have devotees that can go, hey, I'm here to help you. Let's figure this out. I might not have the answer, but I'll help you find some people that have the answer, because I know the community. I know, this person, they know how to deal with that. And so we bring them to this is Sankirtan. We start all working towards the benefit of that person going back home, back to Godhead, coming to Krishna's lotus feet. 8:16. I'll pause right there. I'll stop right there and open up to thoughts, questions, corrections. Tulsi Saki Prabhu. Oh, do we have a, I'm sorry, I didn't grab a mic. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Each one of you guys have to have a question or a comment by the end of the thing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for nice class. I really appreciate the point that you brought up, that when we take on these rocks or weights for Krishna or Krishna's devotees, we're not actually burdened by them, because they uplift us. because those problems are like the rocks that the devotees put on the way to Lanka, and they were floating. So any problems or difficulties we take on Krishna's behalf or on his devotees' behalf, they actually uplift us instead of burdening us. So that's a very beautiful point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and sometimes because we can't see, we don't quite have a transcendental vision yet, right? We can get confused in those problems, right? For instance, you dress the deities and you make a mistake. Maybe you, forget their headdress. And somebody comes up to you and goes, hey, you forgot the headdress, or you did it like this. And so what I'm trying to say is that those things, those problems we can take those very heavily because we want to do nice for Krishna. And therefore it's very important to be able to have somebody close to you that you can reveal your mind to and say, I made a mistake today, and it was like this, this, and this. Oh, okay, well, what can we learn from that? How can we do better next time? That person will encourage you that isn't actually a problem. They'll actually use that situation to increase your desire to do more. So when we're starting these new services for Krishna, there can be anxiety in it. There's going to be difficulty in it. And if we have somebody that we can reveal our mind to, they can encourage us instead of stopping how to adjust in it, how to bring us back up. My background in saying this is that in the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada explains that the impressions of our past life of a new devotee are confusing, are coming. Our impressions of our past life, our past issues will come up through bhakti. For instance, what does that look like? Sometimes I go to a festival and I become very happy. I leave the festival and it was very nice. And so I go, when I get home, I'm going to lay on the couch and kick back and watch some TV, right? What happened there? I got into a state, an impressionable state, that puts me in an attitude, a certain attitude, and what happens is my past impressions of what that state looks like, I do the habits that I'm used to. So I become very happy in Krishna consciousness. That means I go to watch a movie. When I'm jubilant and I'm happy, I want to go out to see a movie, and so therefore that's what I go do. Okay, am I saying that movies are wrong or these things, or laying on your couch is wrong? I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that the impression, the state that you get into, you will often redo because of past habits. See? And so, often our habit becomes when we have resistance and a difficult time, what do? Quit. Right? We often will say, you know what, I can't do that. So the devotee, our mentors, our Shiksha Guru, when we are able to say what's on our mind about the difficulties that we're having, can encourage us not to quit. By the way, sometimes quitting is the right thing to do. So I don't want to just be like quitting's the line. Because sometimes the Shiksha Guru can say, yes, we've tried this, we've adjusted, and we've made some adjustments and no adjustments. Because that's what really we should do is I've heard we should try 6 times before we go, okay, fine. Anyways, so the Shiksha Guru is there to help us adjust, make adjustments, and give us that encouragement. And then we go, okay, I don't have to quit. I just make this adjustment. And matter of fact, we become uplifted when we hear the encouragement from the guru. Hare Krishna. Any other comments, questions? Oh, there you go. I saw your hand. What's your question? What's your thought?
Are you talking to me?
Govind, what do you think? When you hold the bottom of the mic, it gets fuzzy.
I was thinking about what you said earlier about, when you're doing the deities and then something goes wrong and somebody else helps out. I had an example of that on Sunday. Usually I pick up flowers in the morning, but I couldn't pick up the flowers because there was the marathon going on. And so it really weighed on me. It put weight on my shoulders. I thought, okay, now I can't do my service. So I sent out a message saying I can't pick the flowers up. I'll have to do it later. And another devotee said, I'll get that because I'm going to be over that way anyway. So another devotee helped me out, took my problem and fixed it. But then I was feeling a letdown because I didn't get to do my service. So then on Tuesday, a call went out by that devotee who helped me for help. And so I stepped in. I thought, okay, here's my chance to make up for the service I didn't get to do on Sunday. And so I picked up that and went to help that devotee. So
Wow.
That's, like you say, it just, if you can't do your service, your heart gets heavy. And then, other people help you out, and then you help other people out, and it's uplifting. So just wanted to
Amazing.
bring that up.
Wonderful
so I
story.
appreciate your point there.
It's Synchrotron, right? When we ask for help, we're willing to ask for help. That devotee can help us, in a sense, bring us closer to Krishna. So not only we're coming to, that's Synchrotron, coming together to please the Supreme Person. Govind, what do you think? You have the mic? Can you give Govind the mic? I want to hear what he has to think. Anything. What did you hear in class? Anything in your life that you wrote? No? You embarrassed? Okay, we'll go to Jaishnov. Go ahead. What do you think? Okay, this week you guys are off the hunt, but next week when I give class, if I give class, then you have to come up with something, okay? Hare Krishna.
Actually, I was in the service, so I could not hear the class. But as Manji said, I would like to make a comment on that when we are not able to do our service and somebody else is doing that service, so we should be happy that, means I'm not the authorized person, but it's my thought that we should be happy, like if somebody else got that chance, because this is a mood of Radharani, that Radharani is always happy seeing other serving Krishna. So this is a service from our side to that devotee. So Krishna has accepted that the opportunity that just because of us the other devotee is getting. So this is our opportunity of serving others. So this is also a service.
What a great point. It said that any service we do to Krishna is sublime, right? But any service that we encourage somebody else to do is 10,000 times more sublime. At least that's what the gopis are feeling. If we're not feeling that, maybe we can make some adjustments, right? But that's why Radharani is so enthusiastic to push the other gopis towards serving Krishna, because she feels 10,000 times more of the happiness. And also, by the way, these feelings of, I didn't get to do my service, is, of course, they're natural, right? However, we can, have this understanding that, but did Krishna get taken care of, right? Because that's the ultimate reason that we're doing service, right? It's because we want to see Krishna happy. We want to see him taken care of. So, at the same time, maybe we can be, heavy in the sense that we didn't get to do our service, and same time so jubilant that Krishna is taken care of, right? and that there's some other person got to take care of Krishna. Oh, Govind. Nectar. Go ahead.
What's the meaning of the sword that cuts the knot?
So in the example I'm giving, I'm saying that karma is like rocks that are put on our shoulder. Have you ever had a situation where you have in your life this heavy or this tough situation, this problem that you feel just heavy because it's like it's there and it's like you know you have to take care of it? You ever had this example? Okay, so when persons aren't connected to Krishna, they simply see these heavy weight as only about them. And this is called karma. Right? I'm the center of the universe. The problems in my life are only about me. And so in Srimad Bhagavatam, they're saying that that's like a knot that gets tied. Oh, I got a problem. So you can imagine a rope, right? And every time you do some kind of activity for your own sense gratification, you tie a knot into it, and you keep on doing it. What would that rope look like after a while?
It'll just have knots all over it.
I mean, in fact, there'd be knots on top of knots, right? Like I'd be tying knots, and the knot would look like this, and it's just a big, And so Srimad Bhagavatam says that this is the state of a person who's performing karma, is that they've got a big rope in their heart that's just wadded up. And so how do we see, when you have something so tangled up, how do you untangle it? It's almost impossible sometimes, right? There's just so many knots in here, like I don't know where to start, and they're too tight. And so Srimad Bhagavatam says, take the sword and just cut through it. Just cut the knots. Take care of it.
What's the sword?
The sword is knowledge. The understanding that life is meant for the pleasure of Krishna, that he is now the center of life, and he's the center of everything. So that sword keeps us from the binding knots of karma in our heart, from getting that tangled up. What do you think? Yes? Yes, what?
That was the answer of my question.
That's the answer to your question? Okay.
Thank you, Braja.
Good question. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? So next week, Govind has his question. You have a question next week, and you two will read the verse, okay? No. You can do it together with your moms, okay? Why? You guys didn't listen to class. You got to take problems for Krishna. Maybe not yet, right? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Vanchikal Patrubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhievacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.